Welcome back to Align and Thrive. This is Laurel, and today I'm very excited to have with me Brandon Hayes, my first guest. So, as far as the podcast journey goes, this is an adventure in itself, figuring out how to have the two of us on at once, and we're going to do an interview. In recent episodes, I've been talking about my priorities for living, which include healthy living, peace of mind, and leaving a legacy. And so, with a focus on attaining a high quality of health and strengthening relationships with other people, I think today's conversations bring those priorities into sharp focus. Well, today is really about love, connection, and the extraordinary ways that we show up for each other. And so, my dear friend Jim Mulvihill is in urgent need for a new kidney or a kidney transplant. And the treatment exists. The path to recovery for Jim is clear, but the missing piece is finding the one person who would be willing to say, yes, I'll do it. Finding that match for Jim. So that's where Brandon comes in. He's our living donor coach assigned to help Jim's family and friends, including me, share his story, communicate the need, and guide potential donors through every step of this process. So his role is to make sure that no one feels alone or overwhelmed, and to help us connect with the person who is going to save Jim's life. So with that, Brandon, welcome to the show. I'll let you introduce yourself and kind of tell us a little bit about your story.
Thanks, Laurel. Well, first, I'm honored to be, the first guest of what I hope are many, and got to get caught up on the podcast and all the good stuff you're doing. So thank you. So as you said, my position is living donor ambassador. Although I have an athletic background, I love coach. I may ask for that title to get changed. I work for a company called Give to Live Health, and what we do is we work with hospitals on assisting in the living donor process. All of my patients, like Jim, are at the University of Michigan. And so I work with all patients that are going through the kidney donation process, all of the patients that should be recipients down the road. And I work really closely with them on anything they need, really. As you mentioned, it's an overwhelming process. And it's something that, frankly, I don't think that the patient should have to worry about very much at all. So my role is to work with the patient, their loved ones, like you are to him, and then the eventual donors that come forward, and just make sure that I can tie this whole thing together to make it as easy as possible on all three parties. So if you can't tell, I've got the gift of gab and I like to use it. And then I'm also a kidney transplant recipient. So I'm incredibly passionate about this stuff, and it's really easy. The job is not easy, but my passion for it is easy, effortless. Love doing it.
That's amazing. I love that. I know that it's been a scary time for all of us to figure out what we can do to help Jim, and it's been really nice to have you lead us through that process. So thank you for that.
Of course.
I was wondering, so what is testing and surgery like for a donor? I think some of our people have questions about what is this all about? What does it really mean? Can you help us with that?
Yeah, I mean, make no bones about it. It's still a big deal. It's still major surgery. It's a testing process. They've got to go through a process just as Jim did to be evaluated for transplant. We take this very seriously, and as a matter of fact, we have to make sure that the donor can be healthy not only now after having surgery, but years and years down the road. That is our medical team at Michigan's responsibility. But what I'll say, and what I've told to every group, you've heard me say this before, is it's not what people think it is. The perception of what kidney donation is doesn't match the reality at all. So the testing process, to kind of streamline this, they talk to me first off. So if a donor expresses interest, we have QR codes and links, and my email address is all over everything. And I love talking to potential donors. I usually drop what I'm doing to have a quick conversation with them, so that they feel educated on everything that's coming next. They're not just filling out a form and sitting there. They've got a voice on the other end of the line that gives them comfort, answers those initial questions, and then is able to stay on it with them. So that's the first step. The next step is getting connected with the center getting an initial health screening. We do that over the phone now, which is great.
Hmm.
Getting labs drawn. So it's your typical blood panel labs that you do with your primary care doctor. Everybody should be doing that once a year, by the way.
Yeah.
So you do that. Then they will evaluate the potential donor on that process. So are they
Okay.
healthy enough to be a donor? Do they have any significant health history? Do they have a significant family history that might lead to health challenges down the road? There's a few things that would eliminate somebody from the process, which I can get to. But if people in general look healthy and they don't have any demonstrated health issues that may pop up down the road, they will likely move that individual into in-person visits at the hospital. The cool thing that
Okay.
Michigan does is now they can do that a little bit closer to home. So there are outreach clinics in Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids,
Oh, wow.
Lansing. They're all over the place, which is great. And so even if they live upstate or in another location, they can come in and do those. During those visits, they're meeting the whole team. Obviously, there's a nephrologist, kidney doctor involved. They're the surgeon that will eventually do the surgery if they are approved. Nurse coordinators who are wonderful. I talk about me tying everything together. They're the real ones that do that. And then finally our social work team, which the mental component of this is so deeply important. They have to make sure that these folks can handle the mental side of the surgery, that they have the support that they need at home, and that they're completely into this and they know that they are not coerced and that this is a legitimate thing that they want to do. So
So,
after those days of testing, and sorry, that the actual medical side of this, the testing, it's everything. It's chest X-rays, it's MRIs, it's what we call a nuclear medicine test, which tests your kidney function even further. It's an array of tests and visits over 2 half days. And then at that point, if they're a direct donor, they schedule their surgery. Sounds a
okay.
little overly simplistic, but I want to be cognizant of time. It can be quite simple and it can go fairly quickly if that person is a really good match and a really good donor.
Well, and it sounds like it also provides for the prospective donor a time to really learn and get comfortable, make sure that they're comfortable with the whole process. So just because you call and get started doesn't mean you're signing your life away or something.
Yeah, there's
You're learning and growing as you go, right?
absolutely. And there's two things I tell them that first conversation. It's really important to let them know. Number one, this is confidential. We have a lot of folks that are doing this just to feel it out. As you said, they're learning and moving forward in the process at the same rate. I can feel for them because maybe they're not 100% in yet. And so I tell them this is confidential. Nobody knows about this. They can't. There are HIPAA laws that prevent any of us on our side of things from divulging that to anybody. And then two, this goes at their pace. I get that question a lot. How quickly can a donor be evaluated? And I hate to give a non answer, but it's always, well, it's at their pace. It's whenever they decide. So I tell the potential donor if anything about your life causes you to pause this process, no problem. Just tell one of us and we can pause this for a while. So you're right. It's happening in real time
Hmm.
and it ebbs and flows, but they do not go any further than they choose to.
That can be reassuring that you get to grow with it and make your decision as you go. So I know when you and I talked a little bit about it, I mentioned that I didn't want to waste people's time. If I changed my mind, do you have anything you want to say about that?
No, and as we talked about is that no, that's what we're here for, and that's why I'm here, if nothing else, for a little extra bandwidth to take on some of these conversations so that it doesn't all fall on our nurse coordinators, which I can't say enough, are superheroes, just with the breadth of work that they do. So no, the waste of time is not of anybody's concern. Neither is age. I get that question a lot too, including you and I talked about that. I don't know why you were asking about it, but that is not of our concern either. To start the process, you need one thing, and that's willingness to start. And that's it. Everything else will get figured out along the way. And again, I believe in our medical team and their ability to evaluate. You did
Okay.
ask about surgery, Laura. I forgot. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but a couple of things that surprise people about surgery that I get asked a lot is one, the length of time that they are in the hospital after surgery. I tell everybody it's a day or two for most donors that go in for surgery, but
Okay.
I'm telling you, for most people, it's 24 hours. They are out the same. They're out the very next day within 24 hours. Blows my mind every time.
Wow.
And then after that, they want you to be home as quickly as you can so you can rest comfortably and recover over a few weeks. We're not talking months and months. We're not talking about somebody never being the same again. For a lot of people, it's 2 to 4 weeks, and they're at home and they're relaxing, taking it easy, and it's a journey. A week you're probably down and out. The next week you're up doing things around the house. A few weeks later, you're probably back to it and feeling pretty good. So
Okay.
those two things always surprise people, always gets a reaction whenever I talk to a potential donor.
Yeah, that surprised me, but and I'm glad to hear that. I mean, but you're talking people are healthy people and they're probably feeling good about what they've just done to help someone. What makes a good donor and what can eliminate someone?
Yeah, so on the positive end of things first, we've talked about that a little bit earlier, is that really age is not of a concern because what we're looking for is obviously strong kidney function. So there's a unit of measurement called GFR, glomerular filtration rate, that measures someone's kidney function. And so if that is strong enough, that's a really great indicator. If they don't have, I would say, a significant health history, things like past cancer, past, I would say, significant disease, or a strong family history of any of those things, if they don't have any of that, then odds are they're going to be able to move forward. I obviously, as a bonus, love to hear about exercise and eating right and all the things that people can do to take good care of themselves is a really good indicator. They don't have to be perfect, but there's some key things that we always look for to ensure that they're an overall holistically healthy person.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, there are some things that can rule someone out from being a donor, and there's four that are quite common that are eliminators under our system. And the good thing that I hear about from Michigan is that they work really hard to make sure that people don't go any farther than they should. So that health screening questionnaire that happens pretty early on, if any of these things pop up on that questionnaire, it's a hard stop. Unfortunately, they won't be able to donate, and they don't move them forward anymore. One is diabetes, just has too much of a direct effect on kidney function.
Okay.
Two is a BMI, body mass index, of 35 or greater, which is not a forever thing, by the way. If somebody is at 36 or 37, typically it means that we can connect them with a dietitian and they can get some help on losing the weight to get into normal range.
Uh-huh.
Three is I would say most types of cancer. Cancer is a pretty high indicator, but there have been donors who have a past of cancer who have been able to donate. So that's not like an automatic; it's just a strong indicator. And then the fourth one are kidney stones. That one is probably the most obvious. We say bilateral kidney stones, which means evidence of kidney stones in both kidneys. Now, beyond those four, there are some other ones that do pop up with some regularity. High blood pressure is an indicator that that's out of control and they're not able to be a strong donor. Blood pressure has a lot of effect on kidney function. And then there's many others. It really just depends on what that person has going on, and then they make unique decisions on everybody that comes through.
Okay. And when you said kidney stones in both kidneys, is there sometimes you only get them in one or?
Yeah, as I understand it, if someone is only experiencing kidney stones in one kidney,
Uh-huh.
then obviously they can work on clearing those and maybe identify the other kidney for donation. Again, none of this happens unless the donor is shown to have a really good prognosis to be healthy after surgery and far, far beyond. So if there's any question in that, it's off the table, unfortunately. But I'm
Okay.
I'm
Well,
so
that helps.
proud of I'm so proud of the evaluation team at Michigan and how I'm not going to use a positive word here, but how picky they are with this.
Awesome.
They are wonderful at just ensuring beyond the shadow of any reasonable doubt that this is a good idea, not only now but 30 years down the road for people.
That's incredible. I've just had a momentary thought that I am proud of Michigan, and some of my listeners will be like, "Really?" Because I am a Spartan, of course, but
You don't have
I
to be
thought I'd
proud of them
better.
in every way. Just in kidney evaluation. You don't have to worry about what the football team's doing or anything like that.
I know it just struck me as funny. So, okay, so what if someone isn't a blood type match? That's a question that sometimes comes up when I talk about this with my friends and family.
Oh, it's my favorite thing to talk about with this. And I mentioned before we hopped on the air today that I got to talk to my son's preschool class about kidney donation.
Yeah.
And one of the teachers asked me this exact thing. And the coolest thing that I can say, so I'm a recipient. My father was my donor, and he and I do not have matching blood types. So my blood type is B positive, and my dad's is O positive. So that's the first thing to note is that he didn't
Okay.
have a matching blood type, but O, positive or negative, doesn't matter, is a universal donor. So that's
Okay.
why my father was able to donate to me. And that's why we say, if you're a blood type, then your evaluation is purely on health and other blood compatibilities. It has nothing to do with your blood type. So the first thing is, oh, golden ticket. They are the universal donor.
Okay.
Now, for instance, let's say it's an A to a B. What we have a paired donation program that Michigan works with through the Alliance of Paired Kidney Donation. Really, how that works in a simplistic way is that if that blood type A proves to be an excellent donor, they just wouldn't be able to donate directly to their friend who is a blood type B. The good news is that they can go through all the way to the end, be approved as a donor, and then go into that Alliance for Paired Kidney Donation with their intended recipient as a pair. And then the search is on through, I believe it's 50 to 60 different hospitals around the country that are a member of this alliance. Then the
Okay.
search is on to find a matching pair to pair up and do the surgery with. The great thing is those surgeries happen within the same day or two from each other. They don't take the kidney and then wait. It is a scheduled surgery down the line. And I can't really share how long that takes. It varies, but it's a much better option than waiting on the deceased donor list for most people. So it gives you an improved option, a way to really shorten that wait, and everybody gets what they need. The coolest thing, I think, if I'm the blood type A donor, I get to brag the rest of my life that not only did I make sure my friend got their kidney, I saved some person's kidney in Florida. So I
Yeah.
saved two lives. Like, what a cool thing to brag about the rest of your life.
Yeah. What a cool gift to give to your friend, right?
Of
It's
course,
really cool.
directly or indirectly, right? I don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I would say that I can't speak for all recipients, but I wouldn't have cared where my kidney came from as long as it's healthy and as long as it works for me. It still would have been my
Right.
father's gift.
One of my priorities is leaving a legacy and making a difference. So what a difference that would make, in the
Yeah,
world and contribution.
that's a forever kind of
Yeah.
impact, a
Yeah,
generational type.
absolutely. And it's not just to the donor, like my friend Jim, he has a family, he has friends, he's part of the community. You know, he just has a lot to give, and so his life needs to continue. So it's
Yeah,
a big thing.
no
Thank
question.
you.
And I get to know these patients just like Jim, and I feel that way about all of them. Every single one of them has something to offer and has something that other people depend on them for. And so that's why I'm
Yeah,
so passionate.
yeah. I'm with you. So if someone's interested in donating, how do they get in touch with you, or what do they do?
Yeah, of course they're able to reach out to the University of Michigan Transplant Center through their website and go directly through there. But not to sing my praises too much, but one thing that I can do is I can have that introductory conversation usually within the same day and get them on the right track, get them the form they need, and follow their journey and ensure they're getting everything they need all the way through to the end of it. So my contact information, so my cell phone number is 734 2190. email address, BHAYS. You can see my name on the screen. Hopefully it's spelled
Yeah.
funny. BHAYS at givetolivehealth.com. Long one.
Okay. Those of you who are watching can actually see that on the screen right now. And there's also a QR code there that will get you to right to this information about Jim. So, and if you do contact Brandon, the good thing is you can tell him that it's a result of my appeal for my friend Jim Mulvihill, and that way we can make sure that we're helping Jim. And if you could share this information with others, that would be beautiful because it may not be you that is able to give or that this is makes sense for, but there could be somebody in your circle who really, really wants to do that. So, Brandon, did you have anything else that you'd wanted to
You
say?
did it perfectly just then, which is, again, it doesn't matter if you yourself are the donor. You can help just as much if you're the catalyst to find the right donor. In my mind, it's the same thing. So that's why we ask for help and don't necessarily go around asking for kidneys. Because if you don't have that ability, you can find the person or find the person who finds the person. So you can be just as helpful that way.
In the comments on this podcast, I will also include a copy of the flyer. Thank you for listening to this. Brandon, thank you for being here. There is a person who can give a kidney to Jim, and we're going to find him. So I'm very honored to have made your acquaintance, Brandon, and I appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. But if you've ever wondered what it feels like to be someone's miracle, this is your chance, and you won't be doing it alone. Brandon will be there to answer your questions, explain the process, and help you through the various steps. So keep that in mind, and remember, you have the power to turn hope into reality. You can save a life. So thank you. I'm getting choked up as usual, but from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of Jim and his family and everyone who cares about him, thank you for listening and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
I talked to my boss and
Okay.
we're doing great. They're fully supportive.
Okay. 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 Thank you. Take care. Okay.